The great Chris Cornell has been gone 4 years now, which is hard to believe. We are going to run down our top 5 favorite Chris Cornell songs of all time. That includes Audio Slave, Soundgarden, and his solo stuff.
We'll get into this upcoming television show about Pam and Tommy Lee. We'll touch on the upcoming Friends reunion. I may ruin Jason's day, and so much more. Check us out on all social networks at PlayPantsPod, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you can watch this entire podcast on our YouTube page, PlayPantsPod. Smash the subscribe button, and here we go.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
All right, Rod, last week we did something very cool on the podcast in episode 7 where you had like a weird homework assignment. And I told you, I was like, dude, this is like the best homework assignment I've ever received in my entire life. And had I gotten more homework assignments like this, I'd have stayed in school a lot better. I'd still be in school because it was awesome. You had us build our own super groups, our all-star bands, like for you and for me. And remind me again, what were your top 5, or not your top 5, but your 5 guys in your band? You had singer, keyboards, or rhythm, bass, drums, guitar.
The band was going to be built this way. Everybody had to be alive. They had to actually be able to get in a room and play with one another. So you couldn't take Freddie Mercury or Ronnie James Dio or Chris Cornell. You could get a singer, a drummer, a bass player, a guitar player. And then the flex guy was your rhythm guitar or keyboard player.
Right.
So I went with Obvi, Dave Grohl on drums. On bass, Robert Trujillo from Metallica. I went with Stone Gossard as my rhythm guitar player.
That was
Tom Morello as my lead, and my singer, which I saw a couple people on our social media. They also went with Miles Kennedy as my lead vocalist, solo artist. He sings for Slash. And I was introduced to him when Mark Tremonti hired him, and he became the singer of, that band. Alter Bridge. That's
Great
right.
Band.
So he's just got like one of the most badass voices out there. So you surprised me with your list. You were all over the place.
Yeah, it was weird. I was trying to build like this cool like funk rhythm section. I had Flea on bass. I had Eddie Vedder singing. I had Questlove on drums. And I was thinking that Flea Questlove thing from the Tonight Show would be badass.
And Flea could always whip out a trumpet at any time.
Exactly. I was looking for multiple musicians or multiple instruments. And then I had on guitar, lead guitar. Who the hell did I have on lead guitar? Oh, I had Matt Bellamy from Muse.
Yeah, that was the weird one. I didn't know you were a Muse fan.
Love that.
And then picking him, I don't think you're off base on picking him because he really is a super talented musician. But that one floored me.
I just think of the possibilities with him and Eddie Vedder. There's a lot of vocals in that band. There's a lot of opportunity to do crazy shit. So a lot of people chimed in on this and they thought, holy shit. And I had John Paul Jones as my keyboard player. So yeah, I had a hell of a band there. So I just wanted to run down a couple and get your thoughts on some of these. These are pretty well thought out bands. A lot of people got into it. You know who I didn't think of as my singer, and I probably should have went with him, was Sammy Hagar. I'm like,
oh, that's your boy.
Because Sammy can sing his balls off, man. And then play guitar. He's a hell of a guitar player. Nobody realized.
You told me you spent time on this thing.
Yeah, but you know what? You just your head starts swimming. It was almost like you go into a candy store and you got $10 and you just run in and buy the first dumb thing. Even though I spent time, I didn't do a great job. Nathan, who listens religiously every week, he said he had Mike Portnoy on drums from Dream Theater.
Yeah, he's wicked.
He's just crazy, 900 pieces. Nikki Sixx on bass.
Okay.
Sammy singing. Slash. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Sammy on rhythm guitar.
Okay.
Slash on lead and Miles Kennedy singing. Then you got Sammy and Miles singing back. That'd be a pretty cool band. That's a good band. And then our boy Tim. This is interesting. I thought this was really cool because neither one of us even brought this guy up. Geddy Lee playing the bass and the keys.
Okay, and can sing.
Yeah, Taylor Hawkins on drums.
Taylor on drums.
Great pick. You had Slash, and then you had Sammy singing with rhythm.
That's a pretty great band too.
I like that. Mike, this is a really cool one. He had David Coverdale singing. Why did I think of Coverdale? He can still well.
Well, I did.
Whitesnake.
You know what? I did think of Coverdale. I did. And I thought, well, I want my band around for about 10 years or so. I don't think Coverdale's got 10 in him left. No. But he does sing pretty well still.
He still got the sauce. David Coverdale singing, Angus Young on guitar, Geddy Lee on bass, and Jason Bonham on drums, and then Dizzy Reed on the keyboards. Guns N' Roses keyboard player.
Yeah, I like that.
And this one I really liked a lot. Jonathan listens, and he said he wanted Paul McCartney on bass. Okay, not a lot of longevity in this band, but you get one album out of him. That's not bad.
All right.
Dave Grohl on drums. Okay, now they're buddies already. So you got
they've already jammed.
Two good songwriters. Rivers Cuomo on guitar. Now Rivers can play, and Rivers can write hits. Rivers can write hits. Okay, this is this guy was
on lead. From. Is he on lead or rhythm?
He's got him as he's got him as lead.
Wow.
Because then he's got John Batiste. Now a lot of people from outside of New Orleans don't know who this is, but he's also the guy on the Colbert Report. He's the band leader. He just won a Grammy for that movie called Soul.
Okay.
And him on keys, and then Liam Gallagher singing. This is an interesting band. Interesting band. A lot of pop possibilities there. Although Liam Gallagher,
that's weird, like yours,
and McCartney is it could be an interesting thing. But your top 5 band homework assignment was so freaking good, dude. I had people over my house over the weekend, and they're all like, obviously listen to the podcast. They're like, you know what, my band would be this. No, you can't. And then we started arguing, which is stupid because what are you going to argue about? It's your band,
right?
Guy, but it was interesting.
There's one other guy floating around out there that I don't know that everybody knows who he is. I don't even know if you know. If I say the name Richie Kotzen, do you know who that is?
I've seen that name. I didn't think to look it up because I'm dumb.
Okay. So because you said the only reason why I thought about it was because you said Portnoy. So Portnoy is playing drums. Our boy Billy Sheehan is playing bass, and Richie Kotzen is singing and playing guitar. They're the Winery Dogs.
Oh, that's who that is. Okay.
Yes. So this guy, and it's going to sound weird. He was in Poison for a little while. I think when they kicked CC out.
Yeah.
So he was really, really young. Okay. And then I think he banged the drummer's girlfriend, Ricky Rocket's girlfriend. So he's out. And then he kind of just was this guy that was floating around. Dude, he's the only guy, if Soundgarden would even dream of getting back together, he can do the Cornell stuff. Richie Kotzen. I didn't want to use him as like my singer because nobody knows who he is. I think more people are going to know who Miles Kennedy is. But that was the other guy that I was thinking of. And I forgot to mention him last week. It was when you said Portnoy on drums. I'm like, yeah, the Winery Dogs. And I know you know Billy Sheehan. So check that band out, though. And go listen to that dude sing. He's sick. He's like probably one of the best vocalists out there right now.
Interesting. Okay.
So I think I've already brought up Cornell twice. We just hit the 4-year mark. I said the same dumb things as everybody. Wow, 4 years. Oh my God, I can't believe it's been 4 years. Wow, man, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was shocked that it was 4 years that he had been gone. Wednesday was the anniversary. So we had talked about it on the air a little bit. And then as I'm getting ready for the podcast, we do like to kind of, do some exercises, stretch our brains a little bit, because that makes me happy too. I enjoyed doing that Supergroup. So this is kind of more of a basic top 5, but I said on the air this morning that I was going to do it. People already started sending me their lists. So cool. I sent it over to Jason and I said, okay, there's a lot to choose from. A Chris Cornell top 5. Now, is it your favorite songs? Is it the songs that he personally sings the best on? I always leave a lot of wiggle room when I do these. So it can be completely your own top 5, but you're allowed to use anything you want. So anything that he sang on, going back to Temple of the Dog and Soundgarden and Audioslave and all the great solo stuff. So how difficult was this for you? Because it was brutal for me.
A couple of reasons why it was difficult, Rod, is because you brought back all the memories flooding back of the day I saw it pop up on my phone when I woke up. And I know it was harder for you because you had to do a whole damn show about it.
Yeah.
And I just want to bring this up quickly because I don't want to go back and rehash all that again because people, it's 4 years down the road. It's time to kind of move forward a little bit. But I thought the news of his death hit harder than probably anybody else. Like when Scott Weiland died, I don't think there were too many people going, "Oh my God, no way! Did he? Did he really?"
Well, you weren't shocked because you knew that he was dealing with stuff. His problems were very public,
massive,
and you felt like Chris just had it together, man.
He just looked so in charge and in control and just mellow and cool and stuff. And he was 52. By 52, he seemed like he had his shit together. Obviously there was issues. Okay. But thanks for sending me down a rabbit hole of just being bummed out all day, man. That was a good one.
so much to choose.
So many songs, dude. And and then what makes it worse is his freaking songs. A lot of them are pretty damn depressing. The way he sings too, especially when you dive into some of the solo shit, you're like walking around all bummed out all day, man.
But here's what happened. I never was depressed listening to Cornell while he was alive.
Right.
It was until he passed away. And I'm not a lyric guy. And I say it all the time. I'm more of a rhythm guy. I want to hear the riff, and I'm listening to the drums and stuff. But I really don't listen. I listen to the tonal quality, and I want a real catchy, chorus. But I for some reason, Chris Cornell, I really dive into his lyrics, and
that makes it hard.
Everything means so much more now. Even I couldn't tell you what the words were for Patience. Okay, Guns N' Roses, Patience, great song, but when Chris starts singing it and he's no longer here and the opening line, I'm like, holy shit, this is like, it's taking on a whole new life now. So yeah, his songs have become very sad to me now. I still love it. I don't not listen to it, but they're more meaningful now.
They hit way different. They hit way different. And especially now, looking backwards, he was dealing with depression his entire life from the time he was a young kid. He was dealing with depression. That's what took him to the drugs and the booze and everything, got him in trouble. So a lot of the lyrics, you realize, holy shit, man, he's just throwing shit out there. That's just him. And now it hits. Back then when I was listening to it, I was like, this is cool, man. Awesome. Now you're like, oof. You want to go first on this top 5?
I don't mind. Because I've got my 5 songs and I'm still kind of
it changes though, man. That's the beauty of these things, is they can change. But what's cool about it too, and I found it, I want to make sure that I make this clear, is that anytime we do these top 5s, we do put thought into them, a lot of it, but it also reintroduces me to whatever it is we're talking about. I get to go and discover, and then you get on YouTube, you start listening to music, you just go down these rabbit holes. I've been listening to so much music in the last couple of weeks, dude, because of these exercises. That's so awesome. I've been turned on to new bands. It's great.
Richie Kotzen is going to be your next guy that you're going to go chasing.
Richie Kotzen's my guy.
Okay. So my number 5, and some of this stuff is because it's a little fresher to me. My number 5 is the last song on Chris's last release. Okay. He put out that album of cover songs. Mm-hmm. The album is No One Sings Like You Anymore. And the last song, it's an old cover. It's a song from the 60s covered by, it's originally done by Lorraine Ellison. And the song is called Stay With Me, Baby.
All right.
And he gets into Temple of the Dog notes. Oh, he's in his 50s. Okay. Temple of the Dog stuff. And that really early, he was a 20-year-old man. Singers just don't hold on to that. Mm-hmm. This guy held on to all 4 octaves his whole life, what he could sing. Stay With Me, Baby. When I interviewed his wife after he passed, I brought up that song and I said, the one thing that I do know is Chris had the order of the songs figured out, how he wanted them on the album before he passed away. Stay With Me, Baby it's not on accident that song is last. So I'm saying this to his wife and I said, Vicky, and I said, that had to be on purpose that song was last on the album, because that's fucking hitting notes and that's dropping the mic. No man would dream of covering that song. And she laughed. And she said, yeah, he sings that one really good. She said, you're absolutely right. That song's the last song on the album for a reason. It's the grand finale. It's the fireworks. Huh. It's sick that he can hit those notes. That's my number 5. Number 4, I struggled with all of Audio Slave because they're such great songs.
So great.
But I mean, I'm this close to Like a Stone because I think it's so beautiful. But I got to go back to the first time I saw my favorite singer and my favorite guitar player, and they're taking the elevator up on that work scaffold. Cochise is just unbelievable vocals. And I just remember being like a kid because it wasn't, maybe it was, I don't even know. I don't want to guess 15 years ago,
2001, 2002, somewhere like that.
That song set it up for me. Oh my God, this is going to work. My favorite guitar player and my favorite singer, Cochise, the opening song, Audio Slave's first album. Holy shit. It still melts my face. And
yeah, it's still great.
And we don't talk about this anymore, but they made a great video. It's just them looking cool and fireworks. That was it. My number 3, Jesus Christ Pose.
Yeah. Shit, that song is so great. And that video, speaking of videos, holy fuck.
Again, right? Remember, we used to have a VHS. We had a VHS copy of that video that was like from the record company. Yeah. MTV would not play that.
Because all the Jesus imagery and shit.
All the Jesus imagery, correct. So that's my Jesus Christ Pose is number 3.
Fuck, that's good.
Number 2, I might get tore up a little bit on this because I'm going to have 2 cover songs, but Nothing Compares to You.
Really? Number 2.
His cover of Nothing Compares to You. Again, it's one of those songs where he made it his own.
Totally.
And I just think it was so unbelievably moving. And number 1, I think it's some of the highest singing he's ever done. And he does it tastefully, but Say Hello to Heaven. You just can't touch him on that. You can't touch him on that. He's singing about his boy, his roommate, Andrew Wood, who passed away of a heroin overdose. He was a roommate with the guy when he was in Mother Love Bone, when Andrew Wood was in Mother Love Bone. And that was a tribute album to him. Say Hello to Heaven it's just vocal perfection to me.
And it's so high. And I don't know shit about music, but I looked it up. That is actually a G above male high C, Rodney. During the final chorus, it's the highest.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that.
I don't know what that means. I'm sure a singer's like, you got it wrong, stupid. But it's up until this song you talked about, which I haven't even listened to it yet. The Stay With Me Baby song.
Stay With Me Baby. You're gonna know the song. It's been used in movies before and stuff. It's kind of, you're gonna think it's like, maybe you thought it was Aretha Franklin or something, and it's Lorraine Ellison who did it in '66.
Oh, I haven't taken time to listen to that whole covers album yet. I've listened to a bunch of the songs. I haven't gone all through it.
It's great.
Yeah, of course it is.
You want to put it on from the start and listen to it all the way through. And then she said there's a bunch more. So again, going back to when I talked to his widow, there's a bunch more. So there's going to be some more music coming out. So my 5 is this song where he's hitting these ridiculous notes. And then you told me what ridiculous note he hit. And he's doing that. There's 30 years between the songs and he's still hitting those notes. So I feel good about mine. I am sick when I look at Outshined and Rusty Cage, and I want to barf that I didn't include those songs.
But it's okay. I mean, you know what? Tomorrow you probably,
not.
Yes, it is, because tomorrow you'd make a whole new list tomorrow. I mean, that's the thing with someone like who's as great as Chris Cornell. So my favorite Chris Cornell songs. Okay.
Is that how you did this? Favorite? I mean, it's your favorite
for today.
Yeah. Okay.
So go ahead. I mean, tomorrow I'm going to go listen to this other song and I'm going to dive into the Chris Cornell rabbit hole. And I'm like, shit, now I wanted to realign it because the one song that he does really well, and it's not my top 5 because I'm going to do 6 because I'm an asshole. The John Lennon cover, Watching the Wheels.
That's on the new album that I'm talking about.
I love his version of, he has a way of making songs his own, which is great.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Okay. My top 5, Show Me How to Live from Audio Slave. Now there's a lot of reasons why I like this song. First of all, the video. Okay. The video is a takeoff of the old early 70s movie called Vanishing Point. Yeah. And it's one where he's driving the white Dodge Challenger across the desert. And then it doesn't end well at the end, of course. Anyway, just a great song. And there's that at the end of it, there's this vocal effect on his voice where it kind of like bounces around and he's just doing a little karate chop to his throat to make that sound. There's no effects. He just did that. I'm like, what are you doing with your spare time that you just go, I'm going to try that in a song. It's going to be huge. It's going to be awesome.
Because he was the GOAT. That's why.
I mean, Jesus, just unbelievable. Show Me How to Live. What a great song from Audio Slave. I had, and in my order probably is jacked. Number 4, I had Say Hello to Heaven. Okay. And I told you about the incredible G above male high C during the final chorus. And he's just wailing. Which I want to bring up a point about. You said his voice was still strong, and it was. Soundgarden didn't tour a lot. He never seemed like he was beating the shit out of his voice on the road. You know, like a lot of bands will just be on the road like 200 days a year. Mm-hmm. They didn't really tour a ton over that long period of time. There wasn't a lot of shows, and he didn't drink anymore for years. Yeah. So he actually, and he was probably a spaz about his voice. You don't just get that good because you sit around smoking cigarettes. He probably practices, trains, warms up, all that shit. So the fact that he took care of his voice. I mean, you look at someone like Cat Stevens, okay, which is, I'm going far left field now. Cat Stevens, you know, Wild World, Another Saturday Night, all those songs, right? Huge hippie 60s acoustic guitar guy.
Folk songs. They were folk songs.
Amazing voice, though. One of the greatest. And he went away for years and did all kinds of wandering to the earth. And then when he got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he walks up there, long beard and all old looking. And everyone's like, oh shit, is he going to be able to sing?
You saw Islam.
Yes. His voice was perfect because he hadn't been singing and beating the shit out of it all the time.
Have you seen the video of him and Chris? They do Wild World together.
Nice way to bring that back home. I haven't. No, but
dude, there's a YouTube video. Write that down, dude. Him and Cat Stevens, they're doing Wild World together. And that's Chris, who can be up here.
Right.
And then he's singing with one of the great folk singers of all time. And he's not pushing it. He's just, the guy there was nothing he couldn't sing. So Say Hello to Heaven.
Number 4.
Gotcha. Number 3.
I put at number 3, the Guns N' Roses cover Patience, because I truly believe, and I've got my ass beat on this a few times. Patience is a great song. Okay, Guns N' Roses, they kill it. I like Cornell's version better. I like the production on it. It's got a very kind of just wide open feel to it. And it hits harder because 2 reasons why. Chris Cornell's dead, and it hit hard. The lyrics meant more, like you said a minute ago. And then that video they made with it. Jesus Christ. If you're not bawling like your puppy just got ran over by a car at the end of watching that video that they made for that song.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Whoo, you put that one next to the one that Wolfgang made for his dad, Eddie Van Halen.
It's kind of, it's the same like tearjerker. And you see, we're playing the shit out of it. So I sometimes it's hard, you know this, it's hard to remove yourself, and you're hearing it so much, you become a little bit more numb to it. I'm telling you, when we first started playing it, I never listened to, I like the song. It was a great song. It was a Guns N' Roses song. But those opening lyrics, okay? Shed a tear because I'm missing you. He's gone.
Good night.
He's gone. Good night. How could his wife and family even listen to that? Okay? Shed a tear because I'm missing you. I'm still all right to smile.
Yeah.
I said, it's his. Give it to him. Axl, it's his. It's over. It's over, Axl. It's his song right now.
Yeah, he and in that video, it's just so brutal, man. And this is a depressing fucking podcast, by the way. Thanks. We're gonna move forward, and Rusty Cage, I had at number 2.
Okay? Oh, it's Rusty so good.
Cage. And Rusty Cage. Actually, this is interesting. Cornell was actually, at the time of the writing of the song Rusty Cage, he was listening to a lot of Tom Waits. You hear the vocal of Tom Waits, and now it's nothing but cigarettes and whiskey on his voice.
Yeah, that's like...
Cornell was listening to a lot of Tom Waits at the time, and, quote, he wanted to create this hillbilly-sounding Black Sabbath crossover type song that he'd never heard before, and Rusty Cage was born.
All right.
So that description kind of works. You can hear the Sabbath. You can hear the weird stuff in it, and there's so much going on in that song. Of course, he's just screaming his balls off. And number 1, you already said it too, the cover, the Prince cover, Nothing Compares to You, number 1.
That's your number 1.
It's so freaking great.
Dude, you got 2 covers in your top 5.
I'm an asshole. No, but you know what? He makes them his own. And see, covers are hard. Covers are hard. It's very hard.
Of a cover.
Yeah, because Prince writes it. Sinead O'Connor gets a #1 hit out of it. And Chris Cornell goes, hey, not bad, Prince. Not bad, Sinead. Let me give it a run. And he just crushed it.
Now, I got to say, I don't know. Like Sinead's version is just killer, right? The video, the one tier, the Velvet Elvis.
It's great. It's great.
It's killer, right? So, but it really is amazing. Because you had 6, I just wanted to give an honorable mention. And again, just for people to go chasing shit. Did you ever hear his cover of One?
Yes. It's unbelievable.
So wrap your head around this if you've never heard this before, okay? The song One by Metallica, darkness imprisoning me, all that I done, right? He takes those lyrics, slows it down. He's singing all of Metallica's lyrics, and the music is U2's One.
Right. Which I had to be impossible to figure that out.
And he mashed those two together. It's super clever. I believe that's something that he did on his own, and it's amazing. It's his cover of One, and he mashes those two together. That's everyone's homework assignment to go and check that out. This was tough, man. This was a very, very difficult exercise for me because I love everything.
I wanted to bring something up, Rod, real quick before we jump into our break here. You interviewed Vicky Cornell, his widow, and you just said a minute ago about like when you said that song that he did and he was real proud of it, or he nailed that. He sang that one really well. Okay. And it started me thinking, she's his wife. Anytime you do something, you're working on a project or something, what are you going to do? You're going to go, hey, come here, check this out. Your wife is usually the first person, at least for me. Hey, check this out. How's it sound? Or how's this? What do you think about this? She's my gatekeeper. It goes to her and then it goes out to everyone else. Can you imagine being the wife going, I'm not feeling that one, Chris. I'm not feeling that one.
She talked about it.
I'm sure she did.
I asked her, I said, did he use you as a sounding board? Did he run the stuff by you? And he said, yeah. I said, are you eating, I think I said, like, are you eating meatloaf? And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking of putting, this Nielsen. I'm thinking of this Nielsen cover that I'm going to put on the album. What do you think? So we talked about it because I did talk about that song because I loved it so much. I just, from the second I heard it, and I knew the song. It was an old song. I just knew it was a song. It's kind of used in some movies here and there, maybe like in a wedding or something. And she said, yeah, she goes, it's a good one. And he sang it a couple of times before. It was actually made for, I think an HBO movie, Vinyl, that never really did anything.
It was a series. It was actually a really good series. It was one season. Okay. It was fucking good.
So I believe he recorded that for that.
Okay.
And he did perform that song live a couple of times. And she said something to the effect of, listen, everybody is telling this guy how great he is. And she just kind of looked at him after he got done, because he kind of like looked over at her and he smiled after the song. That particular song, she really did. She shared this. And she looked at him and she said, now you're just showing off. Like she knew that he knew, hey, awesome. I don't think there's a whole lot of guys that are covering this song and doing it true to what Lorraine Ellison did in 1966. Only Chris could do it. There's not even another man on the planet that would think of tackling that song. So, she was humorous. She was humorous about the whole thing. And she said, yeah, everybody told him how great he was. And I had to kind of like, yeah, it's all right.
I mean, think about that. When you got someone of that kind of talent, and you're the wife or the husband of someone with that kind of talent, you got to break balls. But how do you break balls with Chris Cornell? I mean, on that one, you missed a note. No, he didn't. No,
he absolutely did not.
Rod, actually, I got two questions I want to throw at you in just a second. One about Chris Cornell and one about Kiss. But first, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Lucky's Pub West, I-10, and Barker Cypress. Astros baseball heating up, man. 40 TVs. Grab the boys. Go watch yourself some damn baseball. Astros are doing great, man. Amazing food. They got the best pizza on the best side. They got killer wings, burgers, and damn it, you better get your ass in there and try the famous Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. Do it. Woo. And the weekends, dude, you can smell the spices as you arrive, man. They're doing crawfish on the weekends. Check their Facebook page for details. And apparently the Rod Ryan Show, they're they're hemming and hawing. They're dancing around a little bit. They're throwing around some ideas about bringing back Senior Skip Day. It's now known as Ditch Day. Apparently, we have to listen to the Rod, what is it? Ryan show for details soon. Lucky's Pub West, I-10 at Barker Cypress. Ditch Day. I like the idea, man. I do like that idea.
I just got sick of, I mean, you and I, we know it's, you had Senior Skip Day, right?
Yeah, most of my senior year.
So just everybody got it. I did it for a number of years. And then I just got tired of explaining it. Like, is it seniors? And well, should kids skip school? Ditch Day, guys. We're just going to do Ditch Day. Whatever you're doing, ditch it. Come, we're going to day drink.
2 questions quickly, Rod. Since we're talking about Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
I know we went down a rabbit hole last week with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't want to go there again because that's just, I still got a headache. Soundgarden, I'm going to go on a limb here. We'll probably get in next couple of years. Does Chris Cornell go in as a solo artist? If you think about it, I think he should, because look at all the bands. Eric Clapton, is he a solo artist that went in? I think he did.
No.
Paul McCartney
went in solo.
Paul McCartney went in with Wings, I guess. I guess it's a different thing.
Paul McCartney is in there. Is he in there 3 times? I think Clapton's the only 3-time guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, Clapton went in solo. How does Chris Cornell not go
Wings
in?
is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Beatles are, and Paul McCartney solo.
Okay. All right.
So Clapton's the only 3-timer. Chris Cornell will not go in as a solo artist.
You don't think so? Down the road, like 10 years.
No.
Really?
But you know what does get him close, though? Add up how many Bond movies there are. People forget about this. Add up the Bond movies. Is there 35, 36 of them? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that means there's only 36 songs. He's got one of them. He has a Bond theme song. You know, they always had one song, you know. I mean, everybody knows Shirley Bassey's Goldfinger. Everybody knows that. Cornell, I don't remember which one it was. It was the James Blonde guy that's in there now. But Cornell's got a 007 under his belt. So, yeah, I think the Rock Hall, they'll put Soundgarden in and they'll be, okay, we got him covered. He's in there. Yeah, they won't go out of their way.
You know how they get those weird things, and anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I just happened to think of that just now. Like, man, you know what? That's a possibility for down the road. All right, so this week I saw a quote by our the manager for Kiss. You know him, Doc McGee. He also managed. He was in the Dirt. Well, his character was in the Dirt. He managed Motley Crue for quite a while, right? Same guy.
Bon Jovi. Yeah, he managed a lot of guys.
One of the best. And Doc McGee came out this week, the manager of Kiss, and he said that Kiss found success by focusing on what they did best: 4 chords and bad lyrics. That's the manager of Kiss, by the way, saying that. He said that, look, we do a show that whether you like Kiss or not, whether you're a Kiss fan or you only know one song, you want to go see the show because it's an amazing, entertaining show. So my question to you, Rod, is, and this is not bagging on Kiss. Okay. I love the band. I love seeing them live, all the stuff, right? But if Kiss didn't come up with the makeup, the smoke, the blood, the spitting fire, all the genius stuff that they did for their show and their marketing savvy, if they were just anyone else, would they have been just like Molly Hatchet or Uriah Heep? No. They had bar songs?
If without the makeup, without the hugeness, this is easy. Without all the Kiss, the shows and everything, they are still Cheap Trick.
Okay. That's a good level.
Okay. They're still Cheap Trick, and Cheap Trick gets into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're like one of the great garage bands, I think, of all time. So they still have the music. And
I like that.
I think they might even get in easier. I think they go in on their songs alone without all the other bubblegum and without the kiddie stuff, because that's what they view them as, is a kiddie band. I think they go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame quicker. You know, they sell half the albums. You told me, you schooled me last week. You told me it's not about, album sales and those types of things. But yeah, they still get in for sure on the songs alone. Listen, when I want to shout, I need to shout it out loud, and It's just not enough to rock and roll all night. Sometimes you got to party every day.
And dude, if you drink enough cold gin, you can bust out your love gun. Are we gonna do this all night? We can do this all night or what?
I started talking a little bit about television this week, and I never talk about TV because I came to the realization that I don't watch TV, Jason Ginty.
Yeah.
I put on the news and then I watch Moana or Frozen or something like that with my kid. I don't have a show that I watch. I don't watch television. I go to bed earlier than most people, so I'm certainly not up watching the late night stuff.
Right.
I do like to record Saturday Night Live. I still think Saturday Night Live is funny. I thought Elon Musk was great, by the way. We don't have to talk about it. I thought he was really good. I mean, really good. I thought that episode was really good, to be honest with you.
There was a lot of good bits. There's a lot of good
bits. If you're just running around saying that SNL sucks now, when was the last time you watched it? You know?
They miss their mark, but then they get some good. It's hit and miss. But you know what? Everyone's version of humor is different, so they got to go different directions.
So there's some TV news that I wanted to run by you, and one of the things that we're having a little fun with is Pam and Tommy, Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee. They're making a movie about them. Yeah. It's going to be on Hulu. There's no release date. I'm not going to bore you with who's playing Pam and Tommy. The girl I thought was really weird when I first saw a picture of her because she doesn't have huge titties. She's not this blonde bombshell. And I guess she's from Bridgerton. Her all done up wearing the prosthetic double Ds. She looks just like Pam Anderson. They're starting to release some stuff. If you do enough digging on Instagram, you'll find this stuff. I tend to think, and I don't have any inside information, but Seth Rogen is in the movie. And if you've seen anything recently with him, he doesn't look anything like Seth Rogen. He shaved his beard. Yeah. He looks different. I have a feeling that this movie is going to be based on Seth Rogen, the guy that stole the tape from Pam and Tommy. It's called Pam and Tommy, and it's based on their tape that they made, and they got married into the most famous rock couple ever. Well, I want to get into that. But I think there's going to be a lot of Seth Rogen in this. I think it's going to be about the weirdo guy that went over there and stole the tape. Because, here's some questions. Pam and Tommy, don't you kind of have to cast the rest of Motley Crue for a scene, at least one or two scenes? Yes or no? Can you do the whole thing and not? Is it just Tommy getting off stage and then the back of some blonde hair head? Do they at any point in this movie need to cast Motley Crue? Yes or no?
No, I don't think so, because you can do it. Really? Where it's just, yeah. I mean, it's about, okay. If it's Pam and Tommy, it's them at their house. It's at the pool. It's out getting drunk. It's him driving a boat with his dick.
Okay.
I don't think they need it.
So the same, then is your answer the same? Do they have to cast somebody in this movie that looks like David Hasselhoff? Do they ever show Tommy on the set of Baywatch in the movie for context?
I don't know how much context you need. I mean, I think most people know Pam Anderson was Baywatch and Tommy Lee, Motley Crue. I think that they were so red hot at that time period.
Yes.
So red hot. They were in every magazine back then. They were everywhere. I don't think you need to. And if you bring up the point, if it's really going to be based on the guy who stole the sex tape,
I think it's his story. I really do. They're calling it Pam and Tommy. I think it's going to be, and this is how they get away. And I tend to agree with you. They get away from paying all those actors. That's a lot of production cost. Okay, now we got to cast all these Motley Crue guys. Now we got to do the set of, Baywatch, and they got to cast all of those people. That's getting expensive. I don't know how much money they have for this thing. If you make it about Seth, then I think you're able to keep them at home and not have to get in. I just think all of that stuff for context is necessary.
It might be
for me to consider it even being worth a shit.
But think about it. It's all about marketing, right? It's all about Pam and Tommy. If you had a movie called Doughy Construction Workers Steal Sex Tape, who gives a shit? You even throw in, they might be in it for 5 minutes. Who cares? They got you watching it. And if you got to get people's eyes on that first episode of the pilot. Once you do that, you hope that your pilot's good enough, and then you can do what the hell you want. The story is actually interesting because the guy was a former porn actor who stole the tape. He was working construction.
Okay. I don't know this.
Yeah, he and Tommy Lee, because Pam, okay, we're not dealing with normal humans here. Okay. Tommy Lee never made it out of high school, and Pam Anderson is Pam Anderson. Okay. I don't know how smart they were back then, but they were getting their house remodeled because they had just got married and all that shit and having the 2 kids. So apparently they went through a lot of people trying to get their house remodeled the way they wanted it to. Now, if you look at those 2 and you're a construction worker, do you want to go deal with those 2 crazy people? I want the sink over here. I want it over here. I want a Jaeger machine at the bar. I want kids. I mean, can you imagine being the guys? Okay. So they went through a lot of construction dudes. They weren't apparently very easy to work with. And this guy who stole the sex tape apparently was owed money, and he wanted to go and say, hey, look, I can't do your job. I want my money back, or I want to get paid for what I've already done. And apparently Tommy Lee met him with a gun.
Oh, geez.
And then he went back late at night, found the safe, stole the safe. And when he opened it, it wasn't just the family jewels in the pictures of the kids. It was this fucking tape, which was super valuable, obviously.
It was their honeymoon, I believe. I mean,
yeah, no, it's the famous tape where they're driving around. He's honking the boat horn with his dick.
He's steering a yacht with his dick. Yes, I remember it pretty well.
I can't knock down dominoes as they're standing over mine, and he's steering a boat. Come on,
dude. When he tucks, oh my God, he does the tuck. Dude,
in the bed.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. Would you fuck me?
He does the tuck scene from Silence of the Lambs.
I forgot about that. Jeez.
Oh, where they show the butterfly guy, Buffalo Bill, where he's tucking his D between his legs and he's looking at himself in the mirror. Tommy does that, and Pam's yelling at him.
It's so great, though. It's so funny.
And then to bring it back around, Jay, Silent Bob, and Jay, when one of those remakes, I believe the Clerks remake, Jay does it as well. Oh, he recreates that scene. All right.
So creepy.
I never needed to think of that again.
So there is a story there, and Seth Rogen's a good writer, and it's his company, him and his buddy there are producing the whole thing. So it's going to be good. It's just, I don't know the angle they're going to take.
Are they the most famous rock and roll couple? The most notorious, because they always say that when they talk about Motley Crue. But think about it. I'll throw some names out there. Okay. So I really think there's going to be an Ozzy movie, and you can't do an Ozzy movie with Sharon going to be right there every step of the way, because she was managing Ozzy. Her dad was managing all of this stuff before that they were a couple.
Oh, she saved his life.
Ozzy and Sharon, I don't know that they're as notorious, but I think they're on that level as fame.
I think it's been such a drawn out thing through the Osbournes TV show and stuff. You're like, okay, we get it.
Correct.
We kind of got it. But the Pam and Tommy thing she was so at the peak, and Motley Crue was at their peak. I mean, that was just lightning rods.
Is the most famous couple in music Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain of all time?
Yeah, you know what? It's tough because it seems like it's so long ago now. You know, that's all such distant memory for me. You know, Kurt and Courtney were huge. It just seems like the Pam and Tommy thing was just perfect because it was the blonde bombshell, you know, the dopey blonde chick with the huge jugs, and then the goofy, scrawny ass rock star from Motley Crue. Either way, they're both huge.
Right.
Huge. And Rob, when you brought this up, because, you know, Pam Anderson doesn't really want this movie to see the light of day. Courtney Love came out and chirped about it. Their BFFs. She's like, this is terrible. Now Pam has to relive all this horror of her sex tape and all this shit. So I did some digging because it got me curious as to, hey, wait a minute. Is this legal? Can you do this? If they're not signing, Tommy's going to not give a shit because all it does is elevate Motley Crue.
They can do whatever they want. Shit. Yeah. They
don't need
their permission.
You don't need their permission because it's public domain. All that shit that happened is public domain. So you can go out, as long as you don't copy whatever it said in People's Magazine for the script, if you just rewrite the details, rewrite the facts in your own way, you can do it. That's why these biopics, don't need to be authorized. Nobody has to sign off.
And there'll be no Motley Crue music in it. There will be no Motley music. There will be this. Now, this I do know. Because of that reason, when they do talk about Tommy and whatever, there will be some generic, shitty, just, you know, rock music playing. It will not be Motley Crue because, again, it's not authorized. So Crue is not signing off on letting them use their music.
Right. But I knew that it threw up a red flag for me right away. I'm like, wait a minute, can they do that? And I looked it up and yeah, you totally can do it. You don't need these artists to sign off on it. But yeah, I think Pam and Tommy were so white hot at the time that it was like, they were everywhere, every freaking where, man. And I remember the video. I mean, that was the first one, really. That was the big sex tape that came out. That one kind of set the tone because then you had Kim Kardashian years later.
Paris Hilton before
her, but it was Tom and Pammy. That was the one that opened the door. We're all like, wait a minute, I get to watch a
people that you like. You don't know them personally, but you felt, wait a minute, this is so taboo.
Yeah, it's so awesome because you got to see like everything. And you're like,
it was awesome.
Whoa, that's her. Woof, look at that. That's awesome. Look at that.
And keep in mind when that comes out, she's my number one.
She's
like Pam Anderson is absolutely my number one. And to see that all going down, I'm like, shit, this is good. This is good. So
I was a little disappointed when he ripped out his hog, and I was like, holy shit. It looked like a baby elephant's nose. I'm like, Jesus, dude, but that's not fair.
He talks a little bit about it in his book. And his hog is something to behold. There's no other couples though. I was thinking Valerie and Eddie, like they were huge in their day, but there was no real scandal other than him really not being probably a great husband. No. I started going down this rabbit hole. I mean, Shannon Tweed and Gene, they already had the TV show together.
Right.
There really wasn't anything else. I mean, Priscilla Presley and Elvis. There's going to be an Elvis movie at some point, so that will be covered. Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen. Just
that. It's kind of
Sid and Nancy. The movie's been made though. A movie. Right. It was the Sex Pistols movie, but that was my introduction to Gary Oldman. And that's when I knew that Gary Oldman was like, okay, this dude's going to be one of my favorite actors of all time. So again, it's Pam and Tommy. It's on Hulu. No release date. And just keep in mind, Seth Rogen is in this. I'm thinking he's the main character of this movie.
I'll definitely watch it. I'll definitely watch it. Right. I wanted to bring you said couples. You know who would be cool? And they haven't done it yet. And I don't know if they ever will. This would be interesting. And I think this is the angle you take with it. Okay. Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. Okay.
Everybody was swinging with everybody in that damn Fleetwood Mac.
You make the Fleetwood Mac movie, but you base it on them because remember they weren't in the band originally, and the Fleetwood Mac was okay. Obviously, they were still a cool band, but when they brought in Lindsey, I forget how it went. Was it they brought in Lindsey and he said, "My chick's coming with me," or they brought her in and she said, "He's coming with me" because they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Either way,
I wouldn't know.
They came as a pair, and obviously that changed the history of that band. But they were so screwed up. Think about some of their songs are written about how they hate each other, and then they sing them every night on the road and become huge hits for the Rumors album.
Yeah, but then the drummer fell in love with Lindsey Buckingham's girlfriend. So you got Mick Fleetwood, and then you've got the keyboard player and the bass player are married. Then they go through a divorce. Yeah. And it's just like, I mean, I'd like to think that Lindsey Buckingham probably threw it into Christine McVie once or twice. Who cares? I mean, there
so
might
much
be a
cocaine
movie there.
I think that would be an interesting couple. Outside of that, I mean, the Paul and Linda McCartney story would be interesting, but I don't think there's a lot of scandal in that.
Boring.
I think it's kind of boring, but I think the Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, and then that's your Fleetwood Mac movie. You come at it from their story, it could be pretty badass.
I think there could be a Fleetwood Mac movie, but I don't know that if it's a big screen movie.
It would be like a Netflix thing, and that's fine. I don't give a shit where they play it. I just want to see. I want to see every band get their movie now because I love these things. I love these damn movies, Rod.
All right. So the next thing I had for my TV, and then I will go on. We'll move on to an exercise. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. I couldn't believe that people's minds were blown that the Friends reunion that's coming up on HBO Max Thursday, May 27th. Tessa, my co-host, I ruined her day when I told her that it wasn't going to be Ross, Joey, and Chandler and whatever. They're not showing up in character and continuing the Friends story. They're showing up as David Schwimmer and this guy and this guy.
Aniston. Yeah.
Not in character. It's Courtney Cox and it's Jennifer Aniston, and they're going to be sitting around shooting the shit, talking about what it was like to be on Friends.
Yeah. It's like the DVD extra.
It's like an extra, right? So I kind of, I feel like it was always told to me that way. Tessa did not feel that way at all. And then the phone starts ringing and then the emails come in. I've ruined everybody's day that it's not a let's pick up and see who's still together and let's see if Joey is still dumb. People were thinking that it was a new episode.
Dude.
Did you put any thought into this? Did you know that it was, you had to know that Friends was coming back because it was postponed because of the pandemic. Did you know how they were going to present them?
I knew that Friends was coming back. And I was, I watched the show. They were funny. They were half an hour mindless. They were funny lines in it. It was kind of cool. You get caught up.
It was a good show. It was a good show.
Dude, when I read your email, I went, what the fuck? What the fuck?
You didn't know.
I didn't know either. I was pissed. I had to go look it up. I'm like, is he fucking with me? I'm like, is he fucking dragging me down a rabbit? Dude, I had to go look it up. I read it. I was like, I saw the trailer, like it hit today. And I was like, it's fucking James Corden interviewing him. I'm like, this is just a bit on like the Tonight Show. Who gives a shit? I thought they were going to do like a 5-episode minimum. Like, hey, here's where we are now.
They're back.
Drama.
They're back.
Here's where they are. And then put it to bed and it's gone forever. I thought that's what they were going to do. I'm like, what is this horse shit? And who are all these people? Justin Bieber's going to be on it. Kit Harington. Jon Snow's going to be on there. Why?
Dude.
Why?
BTS.
Why?
You want to talk about jumping the shark? BTS is going to be on. Those kids weren't even born when that show was on.
Dude, I think Kit Harington was. He's pretty young too, man. What? Like, I get it. I get it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's one of those things where they're like, look, Friends, we ended it. It's done. We don't want to take away from what we did. Because a lot of times when you start down a new path, it might ruin what you did. From an art standpoint, they're still making so much money that it's ridiculous off of the Friends show. Or maybe this will spawn that reunion where they go down the hall.
I was going to bring that up. If this goes well and people lose their ever-loving minds, can they be talked into, hey, you guys had such a good time, and maybe let's make 5 episodes and because they're giving them $3 million to sit on a couch. Now, they famously all made $1 million apiece.
They get the money. They're good.
So they're saying that they're getting $3 million to all be in the same room at the same time. And not everybody's mad, okay? They have not all been in the same room at the same time, okay? All 6 of those characters.
Right.
So it is still a big deal, but I feel really bad for people. When I went to go look up, because when we were talking about it on the air, I went and double-checked it. So I just looked up, and I bring in some article. And even in the article, they said, we want to be clear. They typed up, we want to be clear. This is going to be, and they explained it, them sitting around shooting the shit. It really is like the extras on a DVD. I couldn't believe how many, there's somebody listening to this right now. Thank you. There's somebody going, oh my God, I didn't know that that's what this was. Why are they making such a big deal about it? Because all 6 of them have not been in the same room, chit-chatting and talking about it. I mean, they lost their minds. I think the girls were on the Golden Globes like maybe last year. The three chicks, they're like, oh my God, Phoebe. So if people are going to lose their minds at that, then, I think people are still going to tune in. I do.
Pretty fine.
I watched a little of the trailer. Chandler's not talking. He doesn't look good.
He's been drinking.
What's his name?
Chandler.
He's been partying. Chandler, right. He doesn't look good, dude. No. And he was kind of slurring his words a little bit. David Schwimmer is carrying the whole thing. Joey doesn't look like he wants to be there. Chandler's not looking good, man. I know he's dealt with some stuff.
You know what? You got 6 people and they've all gone on to have varying degrees of success after Friends. So to get them all in the same room, and then the script's got to be right. And then think about it at this point, they know how much money is out there for them on a Friends project. That weighs into it heavily. Then you've got to find the script. Then you've got 6, big actors fighting over everything. It might not just be worth the effort, from their standpoint. There's got to be a reason why they're not doing a series or a 5 episode run or whatever.
Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry. Very good. That way. We're
I
quick.
don't know. I think he's going to be the guy, and I'm just going to throw it out there. He's going to be the guy that talks the least. Okay. They're going to show him the least, and he's going to talk the least. There's something going on there. David Schwimmer, he seems into it like he is ready to go. You want to do episodes? I'm in. You want to bring back
good.
Ross? I'm in. He does look good.
He still look good, man.
And Joey's been working. I mean, here we are. We're just sitting talking about the dudes. I mean, nobody's bigger than Jennifer Aniston. Nobody is bigger than Jennifer Aniston. Going into that show, Courtney Cox was the biggest star.
Right. Yeah. No, Jennifer Aniston walked out of that the huge one. She
right?
And they've all gone on different things.
So because we ruined a few people's day, probably even today, talking about the Friends reunion and how they're going to present this, another little silly exercise I asked Jason. You can update a television show, but they're not going to be sitting around shooting the shit. They're going to be their actual age. And I realize if it's a big ensemble show and maybe some people aren't around, you still got to have like the crux there. Okay. Right. So if you're going to come to me, I hope I don't ruin your list, but if you come to me with Gilligan's Island, I mean, the Ginger's the only one alive. So you're not recasting everybody. You're just doing the Ginger show.
Wait, I think Ginger's dead, isn't she too?
She's the only one that's alive, I think. Because
Marianne's still alive.
No, Marianne died. Dawn Wells passed away.
Why are we even talking about this? It's not going to happen.
So I'm just saying, I hope I hope you're not bringing back Gilligan's Island. So my thing is, you can update one TV show from the past. The main characters are still alive. They're able to film. And let's just say it's one episode. It's 2 hours long. It's on Netflix. And here they are at their current age. And you're seeing where they left off from the last time you saw them on their show.
I Love Lucy is out. Okay.
Lucy is out. Everybody's dead.
The Honeymooners definitely not happening. So you know what I like about that project is, and I think hopefully we'll see a lot more of it, is the Cobra Kai series.
Yes.
They updated from Karate Kid. It was the right time. They were all young then. They all look pretty good still. And if you haven't been watching Cobra Kai, holy shit, get your mind right. It's really good. There's some cheese in it, but it's really, really good. And they updated it. It's like you're just continuing. They're all adults. So I like that idea. I would love to see a lot of shows do this. And this wasn't easy because there are a lot of people who are dead. So it wasn't the first one that came to my mind, and it'll never happen because they don't want to take away from what the ending was The Sopranos. Because obviously the lead character is dead. James Gandolfini's dead. But the way it ended, you could have went, yeah, he is. You know what I mean? Because it ended.
He got whacked in the diner, and then boom. So you would want them to pick up and explain the diner scene and then where everybody is today.
I went back and forth on it. I'm like, geez, I would like to know that. But then, of course, that's what made that ending so messed up and so great, is that now you're just left to kind of guess. So I don't really want that, but I kind of do. You know, it's a weird play. There wasn't much I could come up with. What would be fun to kind of see again, maybe for like a 2-hour movie, would be 24. Remember the Kiefer Sutherland, the episode?
Yes.
24. It was based on a 24-hour day. I think there's enough time between the last one and there's so much other shit that's going on in the world. I think they could probably pull off a 2-hour movie. But the one I thought would be fun, and most of the people I believe are still alive, and it would be fun because it's a comedy and it would just be like fucking ripping through great jokes, would be Cheers. Bunch of dudes sitting around a bar.
Oh, that's a good one.
Breaking balls, and you could make it a little more edgier now, I think, especially if you could do it on a Netflix situation. Maybe make that a 2-hour movie. They've never done anything with that, I don't think, afterwards.
But it would be super sad because, you know, would they still be going to the bar? Would they, you know, I mean, I think
they're all packed up and just
where, you know, I'm trying to think, even if it's just a 2-hour show.
Yeah, they're at the bar.
They're at the bar. Each other.
I mean, you'd hope at that point they're lifelong friends, and maybe it's not all just at the bar. Maybe you do see that, you know, you could catch up on their lives because life continues to move on. It would be interesting. I thought that one had the most kind of legs where you could see you had a lot of options.
I went all the way back to my childhood. Okay. So the first thing that came to my mind when I sent this to you, and I know he's still alive because he lives here, Colonel Steve Austin is still alive. Dude,
80 something.
Dude, the $6 million man. I thought, okay, Oscar Goldman's no longer around, but Lindsay Wagner is the Bionic Woman. We could get updates. You know, did they get like computer chips? Did they get new updated things? So
like Iron Man's.
So I thought about that because that was just my favorite show. And then it hit me. Okay, now I'm stuck in the 70s. So I'm not getting out. I'm like, okay, what can we do? And you know who's going to make this? Who's going to direct this? Who's going to do everything for this? It's going to be Happy Days. And Ron Howard, who's an amazing filmmaker, is going to do 2 hours with Henry Winkler, who would do this. Totally. And they're all just cool enough and never got too famous. Ron Howard's incredibly famous, but he would be cool. So you got Fonzie still around. Potsy and Ralph ain't doing anything, so they're going to jump on board. Marion Ross, believe it or not, so Mrs. C is still alive.
She's still alive. The old man's dead, right?
The old man is dead. And then, boom, you don't tell us, but Scott Baio shows up as Chachi. You get an update on where everybody is. But here's my twist, though. The show has to take place 20 years ago. It's got to take place in 2000. Here's what blew my mind.
The 50s.
Here's what blew my mind, dude. I'm watching Happy Days as a little kid. That show, and this is going to freak you out. I'm watching that show as a little kid in the mid 70s, in the late 70s, and they're running around a bunch of greasers in the 50s. It's only 20 years prior to real time when that show aired. That's like watching a television show today, and it's portraying 2000.
Yeah.
Does it look that much different? 2000? I mean, sure, some fashion. You're going to put some music in there or whatever.
Right.
But they wouldn't, if you're really being Richie Cunningham, you're not going to be alive in 2021.
No, probably not.
So that's why my show and my Happy Days reboot has to take place in the year 2000, 20 years prior to today. But they look like they do right now. Sure. And you find out where Richie is and Fonzie and what he's doing. It would be complete cheese, but it would be awesome. Happy Days, if you're not anywhere near our ages, Happy Days was absolutely the biggest show in the world. It was so huge. Every kid watched it. There was only 3 channels. When Happy Days was on, you couldn't go to school the next day if you didn't watch it because that's all everybody was talking about. It was, and then you couldn't, Mork and Mindy split off of there and Robin Williams isn't around. He wouldn't do it anyways. But you've got most of the characters are around. Joni's dead.
Joni's dead.
The old man's dead. Joni's dead. Obviously, Pat
Morita's dead. Yeah, Pat Morita. He was the original cook at Arnold's, and Arnold or the Al's dead too, I think.
And Big Al's dead. So it's okay. But there's enough people there that I think it would be awesome. Happy Days would be my reboot.
You know what? I thought about Happy Days and I thought, man, there's too many dead people in that. But, with the main characters being there, you could totally do it. And
Imagine Studios puts it together, dude.
Right. I mean, Ron Howard
makes amazing movies. And then he gets his buddy, the Brian Grazer, right? That's his partner. So they make this movie. It's under the umbrella of Imagine. And now, dude, Tom Hanks is trying to get on the damn thing.
Was he ever on them? No,
he was. He almost got into a fight. He almost got into a fight with Fonzie. Yep. He was like a tough guy. No. I'm almost positive Tom Hanks had a one-off show on there.
I know he was on Family Ties and he was an alcoholic and he beat up Michael J. Fox and he was drinking because he was an alcoholic and he was like trying to clean up. Remember, he was an uncle and he was what the hell was his name? Shit. And he got busted. He was drinking the vanilla out of the spice cabinet because it had vanilla extract. Has alcohol in it.
That's what unlocked my memory on that.
Tom Hanks was in. He pushed Alex P. Keaton around, and yeah, they got in a fight. It was, I forget if it was like that was the great show. I like that show too, man. I thought that was a pretty damn good show.
All right, well, that's our TV talk. I don't know that we'll cover a whole lot of TV on this podcast, but the networks are releasing all the TV news this week, like what's coming up on the networks.
Right.
I guess the one other big story was, were you a big Wonder Years fan?
I did watch it because I think I was kind of that age in that I felt like I was in the zone of the family a little bit, and,
Right.
suburbia, they were a little more, clean cut suburbia because it was what, late 60s, I believe.
It was definitely the 60s, and everybody, was going to know Winnie Cooper. My sister used to like it, and she liked the big brother was always teasing the little brother, and that was the thing that she liked. So they're doing an urban version of it. So it'll be a black family that they focus on, and Wonder Years is coming back. Don Cheadle is going to be doing the narration, which is great. He's got an awesome voice.
Yeah, that's good.
And then the other thing we kind of played with this morning was I don't think you can use the song. I don't think you can use I Get By With Little Help from My Friends from Joe Cocker.
I don't think so. I don't think that was.
But I think you go and grab Marvin Gaye, What's Going On?
Ooh, I like that.
And that's the theme song. That's the theme song of the new Wonder Years, right? Like I need to get in contact with Don Cheadle or somebody.
Give him a call, dude. Maybe he might be listening to the podcast right now. That could be. Hey, the $6 Million Man thing. Isn't Mark Wahlberg doing a movie of that?
It was talked about, and then I haven't seen anything about it at all.
That would be freaking awesome if they do it right. Because man, that show is so good. Or at least I think my child brain that still resides in my skull remembers that show being awesome, and I loved it. I don't know.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And then if you talk $6 Million Man, you have to talk about the one episode that everybody talks about, and it was the Bigfoot, and it was a part 2. It was Bigfoot, and it was again what every single kid on my street, every single kid in school, everyone was talking about Bigfoot on. And now keep in mind, you guys, we couldn't just, go to YouTube, or we couldn't just go to Netflix and watch the next episode. You didn't know. And it's like, oh man, you're looking at it's like, okay, holy shit. It's oh my God, it's 8:00. This is not resolved yet. And then you see Bigfoot, and then boom, to be continued.
Oh, you get so pissed.
I thought my dad was gonna kick. That was the one show that I remember. It's another reason why I like that show, because I have fond memories. That's the one show we would watch, and my old man, he loved $6 Million Man. He loved it. So we watched it together. He was so mad at that to be continued. Oh. I mean, like, I remember him standing up going, God damn it. Like, he was pissed. So we had to wait a whole nother week.
Yeah,
and
it sucks.
And it needs to be said, that was Andre the Giant that played Bigfoot.
Oh, no shit, man.
Yes.
I remember like,
he was scary.
You couldn't run, okay, without going. Dude, every kid, you'd watch the damn show, and then all like the next day you'd be out, and it's like, and you ran. It was a sound effect that the $6 Million Man made every time he ran. It was so freaking great.
It's not the sound that the $6 Million Man made, because it sounded nothing like it, but that was the only thing that every kid could do.
Yeah, it was like this metal sound. It was a great sound effect.
But I'm thinking that, my dad, anytime my mom asked him to open up the damn mayonnaise jar, he's like, oh, let me adjust my bionics over here. And, before he opens up a damn can, it's like, well, hang on. And he's flipping his arm. He's like this. He's like, well, I got to adjust my bionics. And then he makes the adjustment, and then he comes over and he opens up the Miracle Whip. And that was a pretty standard thing in my house. My dad's bionics were adjusted for any sort of physical labor.
The Fall Guy, that was the next series he did. Remember that?
Fall Guy was badass too. Fall Guy was badass. All right, let me talk to you a little bit about Pirates of the Quarter. So New Orleans is back in a big way, and I want to ask Jason about this coming up.
Yeah.
But the next time you head to New Orleans, make sure you spend some time with our good friends and sponsors of the Play Pants podcast, Pirates of the Quarter. Now, you can see them online at Pirates of the Quarter. They're a great follow on Instagram. So it's a 5-star rated walking tour, and it tells the tales of the smuggling and the sword fights and the cannons and the rum. And this is all real history. And there's a lot of history that goes hand in hand with walking around the French Quarter. And there's a lot of tall tales that get told that are in the French Quarter. And these guys know the real history of pirates. The pirate trade was huge. It's a port city. they know all of this stuff and like where you're standing and where they walk you around the French Quarter. There's so much history, and you're still partying balls and having a great time, but you're actually learning some things, and it's so cool. You'll take some things home with you, like knowledge about where you were partying. It's so much fun. It's the most unique walking tour in the French Quarter. I can tell you that for sure. It's fun. You're going to end up learning stuff, and it's one of those things where they slide it in. You don't even realize you're just going to absorb some of these things. So discover all the pirate history in New Orleans, piratesofthequarter.com. Again, they got all the social at Pirates of the Quarter. And we've got links up on the Play Pants podcast page and our YouTube page. And we appreciate our pirate friends being a great sponsor. So shows are coming back in Houston. I don't know what it's looking like for you, but every day we're announcing a new concert. Kings of Leon, Shinedown, and they got support. But Lollapalooza just came out with their lineup, and
Foo Fighters are playing.
It's like Foo Fighters are definitely down for playing festivals.
Yeah,
we talked about. I spoke with Dave Grohl last week, and I just got it in there at the very end. I'm like, bro, what can you tell me about the rescheduled Jazz Fest that's coming up? They still have dates for it. Jazz Fest, October. Will you be a part of that lineup? He grinned at me and said, I can't say anything, which led me to believe that he's on.
Right.
So shows are back, bro. Everyone's jumping in on these big festivals and stuff. A lot of stuff coming to Houston. Hella Mega Tour is on, which would be a cool one. You should come in for this one because it's going to be at Minute Maid Park. And that's going to be fun, man. That's going to be Weezer, and that's going to be Green Day. It's just gonna be a fun show. And Fall Out Boy, I've never seen Fall Out Boy live, and that's one of my like crush bands that I do. I'm embarrassed how much I like them.
It's okay. But, you can like Fall Out Boy,
but that show, even though they're only about 10 years younger, the older guys said no, we're not doing it. So for whatever reason, Motley and Def Leppard are not gonna do the old man tour. Which, to be honest with you, of all the summer tours, I was kind of looking forward to that one the most. Again, just being in that setting and just, having seen all the bands, I just wanted to go for the hang. I thought it would be cool. I could give a shit about Poison and Joan Jett, but I would have gone. They're not going to do it. So you got to be my man on the inside here, bro. I saw New Orleans put out the schedule, and French Quarter Fest is great. If you don't know, that's a great time to go in. But man, if you can only go in one time in October, you got to choose wisely. They've got dates set aside for Jazz Fest. I was kind of surprised to see Voodoo Fest was in that they put out that.
Was it placeholder for the weekend?
The placeholder, right?
Yeah, but they've not said shit.
But the city of New Orleans was recognizing that we're saving that weekend for Voodoo Fest.
Correct, but Voodoo's been quiet. They have not said anything.
Nothing, right?
Oh, nothing. So, and you're getting down to time to announce these shows. I mean, why do you think they announced now for September? You got to sell tickets. You got to sell a shit ton of tickets. Houston's getting all the shows. I have not seen a whole lot of shit come up for New Orleans. And I may be wrong, but we don't have the Hella Mega Tour coming here. Shinedown, I don't believe, is coming here. I think a lot of these acts are going to play the festivals and the big cities first. You're going to see them going to Houston and Chicago and LA and New York and, all the big cities first, because these bands want to get out there and make as much money as they can out of the gate. They got a lot to recover from, as does everybody.
Right.
So I think that's why. Now, the Motley Crue thing I thought was interesting, but that might be a stadium issue because they're playing stadiums apparently. And maybe they were being used for something else this time here because they might have filled in the dates, but it seemed weird that they punted till next summer, but there must be a reason for it. I don't know what it is. Maybe Vince Neil's still fat. I don't know.
Voodoo Instagram, if you're just using that as any kind of hey, what's up? December 28th, 2020 was the last post that they put up on Instagram. I can tell you that in my gut, Voodoo Fest ain't happening. Not on that alone, but you're not even keeping. You didn't look like you were keeping the franchise. You got to keep a little coal in the fire over there when it comes to social media.
They've done nothing.
I mean, I don't follow Coachella and I don't follow Lollapalooza, but I'd be surprised if they went dormant on their social media and That's scary to me. That's kind of scary to me. Because I love voodoo, but my first love, of course, is Jazz Fest. And dude, it's got to happen by this month.
I think
it has to happen. The announcement has to happen in the next 2 weeks.
I've heard that early June they should be making some announcements, but yeah, it's weird they haven't thrown at least one band out there to like get people excited and talking about it. It's a weird thing.
They did that with the rodeo just this week. It's funny, like they used that approach. The rodeo is huge,
sure.
And it's George Strait. It's 90 years of the rodeo. George Strait is like the god here. He is the guy. It doesn't get any bigger than that here in Houston. So they said that they didn't give the whole lineup or anything like that, but it got people excited. Rodeo's going to be back, not till 2020, but George Strait's on board. Boom. Oh boy. Okay. That's big. It scares me as we get every day that goes by and we're not hearing something about Jazz Fest. Voodoo, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm sorry. It's just this Instagram thing. And I never looked at it until right now. I can tell you right now, I'm putting all my chips on voodoo's not happening.
I don't think it is. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because you know what? Someone will pick up the ball and run with it for next year, I believe, because it's such a Halloween weekend in New Orleans is, voodoo's great, but we don't need it. We really don't need that to make New Orleans badass for Halloween. Halloween in New Orleans is the craziest shit. I'd rather go and be in the quarter for Halloween than Mardi Gras, because Halloween is just amazing in this city. It's freaking nuts.
One other thing, just because as we're talking about New Orleans, I didn't see anything on that schedule about Red Dress Run. And that happens in the second Saturday of August. Right. I haven't seen anything on that. It doesn't look like that's happening.
I haven't seen that. I know that they do the big running with the bulls, which is completely insane.
That is happening. And it's a different organization too.
That looks like that's a fun fun event. You know what? I don't know. I think people are still trying to kind of figure shit out, man. It's still kind of like, well, do we have enough money? Do we want to take a risk? Will we make money? I'll tell you right now, is if you open doors on anything right now, you're going to make some damn money, because people are jacked about going out, man. They're so
they got
excited.
Money too. People are buying tickets. BuzzFest is selling like hotcakes. It really is. People have money for things that they really, really want to do. We basically have the same show that Dallas has. Right. And just a little insider information here for you guys that are listening to the podcast. We have double the ticket sales that Dallas has. You know, now the Buzz is just a bigger station, and it's just, we've cultivated this so well over the years. It's just such an unbelievable brand here. And of course, Houston's just way cooler than Dallas. They stink.
There it is. It is.
They've only sold half the tickets that we have. We're going to sell out. But see, our BuzzFest is going to sell out.
I always get this question all the time when I'm out. It's like, hey, Ginty, how come we don't get all these great rock shows or these shows in New Orleans? I mean, everyone checks all the dates now. They see Houston. They're like, fuck, that's awesome, man. The BuzzFest lineup is great. I would love to see those bands. How come they don't come to New Orleans? Well, there's a few reasons why. Houston's a fucking way bigger city. First of all, you've got a bigger pond to pull tickets from. New Orleans is very small, and the makeup of our market doesn't make it easy to sell for rock shows. Second of all, New Orleans doesn't really have an alternative radio station. It just doesn't. I mean, I think we have one. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't show up in the ratings hardly. The Buzz has a track record. Like you just said, you cultivate the bands. Your morning show beats the shit out of the concerts, and you've done a lot over the years to cultivate that. We've not had that for a few years here. Right. Without the radio station support to drive it, your ticket sales aren't going to happen. And we just don't have that here. So people always ask me, how come we never get shows here? Well, there's some of your reasons why. You need the support to pull that off. Now we'll get shows, but they're not going to be like that.
I learned this too, just in talking to some of these concert guys. If you're any concert out there, any show in any room, here's a good rule of thumb for you. The money they make is after they're 90% sold. The profit is that last 10%. So if you go to a show and it's half full, and I'm talking about a big show, I'm not talking about Howlin' Wolf, and I'm not talking about a club show so much, but all the way down to the House of Blues, which your House of Blues holds about 1,000. Just under. If you go and there's 500, that's trouble. You have to be 90% capacity. Just think of it that way. Every show you go to, it's got to be 90% to cover the nut.
Right.
The profit is on the other 10%. Sure, they're making money on, on beverages and all of that. Don't get caught up in that. If the show's not going to sell 90%, then they're not doing it there.
They're not touching it.
They're not coming. So you're going to hear that on this podcast all the time. I like music. Jason likes music.
Love it.
You're listening to this podcast. You must like music. Probably you like music. I don't know. I'm sure you don't like these. You don't just get off on listening to two dudes talking. It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
And man, people hate when I start explaining shit like that with the radio station. And I'm not going to go down that. I'm not going to go down that now. We covered that in some of the early, like first couple of episodes.
Right.
We talked about a lot of that stuff on this podcast. But as soon as I tell people like, it's a business, like, wait a minute. Nah, it's my band, man. It's Green Day. It's not a business. Motley Crue. It's not a business. It's a business. The bands they're companies. They are companies. They are run like companies.
Yeah.
Who gets what money? All of that. It's insane how it's run exactly like a business. A band is a business. Gene Simmons probably does it better than anyone. It's an absolute business. Why, everything is caught up. Who wrote what songs? Who gets the publishing? Everything. Who's paying for this? Who's fronting the money to go into these halls and stuff? It's insane. So I thought that was an amazing stat, though, man. It's like the margins where they need to make money. You're not making money when it's 75% full house. You're not making any money on that show.
That's why you skip New Orleans, though. People always ask me, how come they keep skipping New Orleans? Because Houston's a massive city. 4.5, 5 million people over there. We don't have that here. And we don't have the radio station to back it up here. We just don't. When it comes to alternative, we don't have it. So we're not going to get a lot of those shows. When we did the last episode, we talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I got all kinds of comments, and it was all very respectful comments. It was just music guys talking music. But one guy was saying how it's an expensive thing. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just there to make money. And in the picture of the guy's avatar, he's a guitar player because it's him holding the guitar. So
the guy that's making the comments
made the comment about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is all about money. I just said, dude, you got a guitar. I assume you probably play gigs. Do you do those for free? It is about money, man. I mean, dude,
you turn it around. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Wait,
we got sponsors for our podcast. We'd like to do this podcast, but we got sponsors. When are we doing? Nobody doing that shit for free, dude. Nobody. Right. And you got to pay roadies and sound guys, and you got to pay the bus driver, and you got to pay the hotel rooms. You got to pay for the gear. It is a business. So yeah, it sucks to think of it that way. You don't want to think of it as just, it's all fun and games, but man, that shit's a business. And they got schedules. You don't realize, being behind the scenes like we are, you look at the schedule and that band wakes up at 10 a.m., breakfast at 11 a.m. till 12, free time 12 to 2, radio interview at 3, this interview at 4, the local magazine gets this interview, then it's sound check, then it's, dinner with the band, then it's opening band, then it's your band, and then it's on the bus, and the bus leaves at 2 a.m. no matter what. You got to be on it. And then you're doing the same thing in the next city. That shit is a business, man.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's like, it sucks the cool out of rock and roll, but the problem is a lot of people more so nowadays know how the sausage is made for almost any business. You have the ability to look behind the curtain a little more. We've just spent 100 years doing it.
Right.
And I wish we'd get all these cool rock shows like you got. I'm still looking in my mailbox every day for my BuzzFest tickets. I haven't seen them yet, dude.
Oh, really? You're looking for?
I don't know. I'll check again tonight, but I don't know. It's what Rod, tell us what weekend that is. So if anyone listening to the podcast wants to make a road trip to Houston, and then you know what they're going to do? This is great. They're going to go to Houston, right? And then they're going to hang out over at Lucky's Pub West.
Oh, yeah.
Drink some beers and then go to the Buzz Fest that weekend. You got yourself a nice little Houston weekend right there. I like that.
The end of the summer is Labor Day, right? Memorial Day is coming up in like 9 days. Labor Day weekend. So I believe it's September 4th. The show is on Saturday. And so it's just outside of Houston. It's in the Woodlands. So it's a little north of Houston. It's about an hour and 10-minute drive from if you're downtown. So you might want to get like a place to stay there. driving back after the show, and if you're staying downtown, that would blow.
No. I've gotten to the point now, dude. If I can't stay like literally right next to the venue anymore, I'm not.
Yeah, I stumbled. I stumbled to the Marriott. I literally stumble over to the Marriott. We used to have some killer parties at the Marriott bar. And the guys from Seether would come down, and and then there's Papa Roach hanging out and partying with you. And it's like, hey, what are you? Who are you? Yeah, I play bass for Sick Puppies. Oh, cool, man. Great set. Come over here, man. I mean, it was just awesome. That's where we all hung out. It was the best.
Yeah, dude, those guys from Seether party. We did a show years ago, and they played the State Palace Theater, which is now defunct. I don't even know what's going on with it. It's on Canal Street, right?
Yeah.
And we had a post party on the rooftop of State Palace Theater. So you're looking down over the French Quarter, and we got bars up there, and all the bands are hanging out. Same scene, right? So my wife and I, and we might have been married a year or two, and she, the radio thing, she does her thing, and she's like, oh, that's cute. You do a radio show, And I said, well, we're going to do this concert. And so we're watching Seether, and I think it was Cowboy Mouth, and we brought in a brass band, and there was a few other bands. So it was a good night. Somehow, and remember, Sean from Seether was dating Amy Lee from Evanescence at this time.
Yeah.
And that's where that big hit came out. They did Broken. Anyway, this was probably a year afterwards. So it's me, my wife, and Sean. We're hanging at the bar. We're pounding beers and booze and shit. He's telling all these great stories about being on the road. And I'm just sitting there going, holy fuck, this is cool. And then my wife's looking at him, and she's looking at me. And then Sean just opens up and starts chirping about all the problems with his girlfriend.
Bro, I thought we're going into a threesome here or something.
No, dude, if it was Amy Lee, then I would have brought it around to that. But no. This is
holy
Sean
cannoli. I'm like, dude, this guy, just had a threesome with Sean.
Dude, and I'm not going to tell you what he said because, man, it seemed like it was the little trust tree was happening there. We're drinking for like an hour, the three of us, and he's just pouring his heart out to my wife about like, oh, I'm on the road all the time. She's on the road, all this shit. And it was just the weirdest freaking thing. And I'm sitting there going, I'm supposed to be having fun. I don't want to hear this dude talking about his chick, man. But and he was very sweet about it. He was very cool about it. And I can't tell you, that seems like the one band that you always seem to run into and lucky for what I do for a living, get to hang out with them a bunch of different times over the years.
They're awesome. They're like our house band here for a long time. Jacoby and Papa Roach. Yeah. Like those guys shine down. Those are like those were our house bands. They just were always around and always came here. And they're huge here. I mean, they're big here. Papa Roach, it's their biggest market. Shinedown is not from here. They're more of a Florida band. And this was their biggest market. Creed's biggest market was Houston. That's why they filmed their concert movie here.
Right.
So, yeah, those guys, they would come here and hang. But you're right. Seether were badass, man. They were cool. Papa Roach, Jacoby's not partying at all anymore. He's super fit now. He's super in shape. He doesn't party at all. But I partied. Good. I partied balls with him before. Several times, man. He really, he could party. And he was always cool, too, man. Always.
Yes. Yeah. I had him on the show years ago when I was doing afternoons at the end here in New Orleans. And he's just a freak, hung out. I mean, how they get the handlers, come on, it's time to go. You're on the clock. And he's like, nah, dude, we're going to keep doing this. This is fun. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Hang out.
So we're doing an interview, and it's Motley Crue is going out on the road. And I lose track of, if it was Motley that they hadn't been together in a while and they're going back out, but we're on a presser. Mm-hmm. So we got a time, we got a hook up on the satellite, and this was before the internet. And we got this, we're using some sort of a coupler through the phone, and we're waiting. So I can hear everything that's happening. And I hear Nikki Sixx talking, right? And I can hear him talking to the other radio station. You've been on these before, where you're there. You can't talk. They can't hear you, but you can hear everything that's going on. So it's like, okay, Nikki's trying, you can tell he's trying to wrap it up. And so we hear him doing the interview. And so then he goes, okay, thank you guys, man, love. Can't wait to be there in, Kansas City, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. So we know that he's getting ready to come to us. Now they give him a little minute to kind of regroup. And Jacoby's there because Papa Roach is going to be on the road with him. Mm-hmm. So you hear the little handler, the girl shuffling the papers, and she's like, okay. And now we've got the Rod Ryan show in Houston, and you hear Jacoby. Now, they don't know that we can hear them. You hear Jacoby. Oh, dude, we love Houston. Dude, we're huge. He's telling Nikki, we're huge in Houston, dude. The Buzz, those are our guys, man. Let me do this one with you. He was so excited that Houston was coming up. Now, I want to talk to Nikki.
Right, of course.
Jacoby is like, hey, man, what's up? It's me. Hey, man, it's Jacoby. We're going to come in, man. Hey, Motley Crue's coming. I'm like, yeah, let me talk to him. Yeah, hey, man, I can't wait to see him, man. Remember that time? Blah, 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 blah. It was so funny, dude, because I heard a moment of a rock star excited to talk to Houston, the radio station.
Right.
He's like, oh, the Buzz, that's our guys, man. Nikki, we're huge. We're going to crush it over there. It was awesome. And he came on with that same energy. And I think Nikki Sixx, I got 2 questions, and then the rest of it was just me shooting the shit with Jacoby. It was fun though. That was a fun moment.
But see, that's what makes what you do, Rod, in your station successful is all the years you put in. It's the constant doing it every day, just being cool to these people, and then they remember it, and then you have a beer with them, and it's like I was saying earlier. You know, your show, your station, the Buzz in Houston is successful. Has been successful for a lot of years because you're hitting on all the right marks. You're doing the right things along the way, and you have all these years. That's why you've been around for so long. In New Orleans, no one has done that. You know, it's always been these, here's the station and it goes away. Here's one, it goes away. Because no one's taken the time to you got to start. Anytime you build anything, man, you got to start and just slowly keep on add, build, be cool along the way. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Now these bands are coming through, with BuzzFest, and they get up on stage for the interview and they look at me, they're like, dude, you're still here? Dude, you're still here? What the hell? Didn't you interview me 20 years ago? I'm like, yeah, it's cool. You're on the main stage now. Used to be a little baby band. So let's wrap this up, dude. Yeah. Any final thoughts from you today?
Dude, you know what? I actually did something for the first time I've ever done in my life. Last weekend, I went to a professional soccer game. And when I say professional, I mean like a couple tiers down from professional, but still professional, adult, male, professional soccer. And they do it right here in New Orleans. They got a team called the Jesters. And I never went before. And soccer, I've never been a huge fan over the years. I'm like, oh, geez, a bunch of dudes run around. They don't score enough goals. And they allow them to end in ties. How stupid is that? But I've become a fan because my kid plays soccer. And I went and I saw my first in-person live soccer match from these pros. And I can't tell you how freaking fast that is. When you watch like the World Cup on TV, and that's huge, dude, these guys are so fast and it's physical as shit. Yeah, dude, I got nothing to add to it, but it was just awesome. I can't wait for Saturday. There's another game. I'm going. The beers are cheap.
So we got the Houston Dynamo here, and then we've got the girls team is the Dash.
Mm-hmm.
So we got both pro teams, and the Dynamo, the games are wild.
It's so fun as shit.
They allow you to bring, there's some groups in there that they bring in some instruments, and you've got, I'm going to be on the spot now. There's the Texian Army, and then there's the other guys. Oh, I'm going to get lit up because they let me hang with them, and I was playing the drums with them and everything, and it was fun. It was fun. Yeah, it's
cool.
But here they kind of create that shit you see on those European games, where they're chanting and there's music and big, huge flags. It's pretty badass.
This is just metal bleachers, and it's cool. They do a great job with it, but it's not quite there yet. I mean, it's a new team. They've only been around a couple of years, so they're just getting going. But man, soccer, it's cheap. It's fun. El Battalion, I believe. And the Texian Army. Those are like the 2 big main groups. They're all rooting for everybody's rooting for the home team, but they just got, it's their own like little, their clubs, so to speak. Right.
Okay. So final thoughts. I knew what I wanted to say. So I'm almost done with this book. And I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, Nothing But a Good Time. Mm-hmm. And it really, really, like no other book I've read, it kind of captures that late 80s. And they laid the groundwork with Rat and Twisted Sister. But they talk to all the guys in the band. So when you're hearing, you're just bouncing comment to comment. And the guys did these extensive interviews with everybody. Okay. From Winger to Warrant to Jet Boy, to Striper. They're all represented.
Tough Enough or Tough?
Tough. Yeah, tough. Absolutely. Yeah. They were on the tail end. What do you want to know? I can tell you because I just got done with them.
Oof.
These guys weaved it together so well. I learned so much. It was so unbelievably entertaining. I can't stress enough. I know, like, I'm reading books now and I'm pushing everybody to read because I think I'm cooler than most people because I'm a reader, and I am. But I'm done with the book. It was great. It was great. So I'm throwing it out there to see if anybody's still even listening. I got to get them, though. All right. So these are my options of my next book. I have
Okay,
them.
you got options. Okay, so maybe we'll start the Play Pants book club like Oprah did.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I think hopefully these are good.
I don't know if you ever heard of this book, but it is kind of like what I just read for the Sunset Strip, but it's Everybody Loves Our Town. And this was the breaking of all of the Seattle bands.
Ooh,
and it's how all the record labels went in. And then, there's Screaming Trees and Mud Honey and, the Melvins, who, way before. Yeah. So Everybody Loves Our Town. This is supposed to be the book to read on Seattle. Okay. And so I thought that was great. Then,
oh my God,
I'm going to throw this in your face. I'm just wondering if you read it. Because
books, dude, you're talking about books.
Because Eddie's no longer here, and those guys would have never written a book anyways. The best book on Van Halen is supposed to be this one right here, Running with the Devil.
I've got a couple different ones I've read, but there's so many different Van Halen books. But that one's supposed to be the one, huh?
This is supposed to be the one that most people that are big Van Halen fans say this is the truest one.
Okay.
And the debauchery, and I want to say that this is maybe he was the manager of Van Halen from 78 to 85. He might know a few things.
Yeah, it probably does.
Okay.
He knows some stuff.
And then last choice.
The Play Pants book club. Here we go. Got some choices. No, it's good.
I've been sitting on this one right here. The Chris Cornell book.
Now, when was that written?
This came out
after he died.
I think it came out after he passed. Yep. This is everybody that knew and worked with him. No, it's not in Chris Cornell. He didn't write a book.
Okay,
he didn't write a book. This is supposed to be an unbelievable read. And we think we know a little bit about some of the stuff that Chris Cornell went through. You said that he was, battling depression and everything else. This is going to be more the book that I just got done reading, dude, it was the 80s. It was Warrant. Okay. Everybody's banging everybody and Faster Pussycat and the all the bands and the Hollywood Strip and everything. That's not going to be this. A little of that will carry over into the Van Halen book. The Seattle will be a different vibe, obviously.
Different worlds. Chris Cornell, man.
What should I read next? What should I read next, Jason? Van Halen's your favorite band. So
yeah, but most of those stories you probably I heard that one. Yeah, I heard that. Okay, Brown M&Ms, I got it. Yeah, I think you got to go with the Seattle one and then Chris Cornell and then bounce over to Van Halen, whatever.
Yeah,
I think so. I think you got to do both of those because it would be cool to get all the groundwork of all the Seattle scene and then dive straight into Chris Cornell's story to see how it fits within. You know what I mean? And we're talking about books, and that's one way to end a podcast because we're talking.
So there you go. That's that's what I'm going to move on to next. I just don't know which one I'm going to read first. All right, that's it. We got to go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Rod Ryan. He's Jason Ginty. This is the Play Pants podcast. You know what? We got all the socials, and I really, really wanted to say thank you to everyone that's kind of been adding their lists and getting involved with us. And it's on such a smaller level than like the Rod Ryan show stuff and even Jason stuff, but it's just to see that some of the things that we're talking about are penetrating and getting through to a couple of people. It's fun to watch this stuff. It's like watching a baby walk a little bit.
It is, and what's cool about it is that it gives us a chance to just kind of not worried about traffic coming up in 5 minutes or the bullshit. We can just wander. If we fuck it up, we just keep going, and it's like we get to expand on shit that we don't get to do on the air. And I think that's a huge thing. And everyone who leaves comments, man, I try to get back to as many as possible. If we don't respond, doesn't mean we don't read them. I read most of them.
Oh yeah.
And the band thing was great. I'll throw some shit out about the TV shows and everything else. And the Cornell thing was obviously Not an easy. I'm already going to change my list, and I'm going to go spend the next 6 hours going down a Chris Cornell rabbit hole because I've got some songs to listen to. Apparently,
Richie Kotzen. I'm going to leave you with him.
The Winery
You're going to be
Dogs.
blown away. You're going to be blown away because he's guitar, vocals, looks, killer.
That's you know what? That's going to be a topic for another day. Why do guys like that? There's a lot of guys out there that are great. How do they not get to that stratosphere level? You know what I mean? Like that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
Get down there because you've been in a band, and we've all known 1,000 bands that just never went where we thought they would go.
Well, we didn't go any further because we sucked. So that's an easy answer. This guy, Richie Kotzen, is like next level, man. You're going to be blown away.
It's about winning that hit. You need that hit, man. At the end of the day,
Yes.
you need that damn hit. Sucks. All right, dude.
All right.
Well, it's good.
Thank
good
you,
program.
guys. Thank you, everybody, for checking this shit out.
Let's go. It's time. Put on the pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at PlayPantsPod.